Tanshe Kia Wow, Trish Kelly de Shinakashun, and Femme Michif Nia, Prince Albert P. Carlton Oschinia, Maka Skohomish Niwa Kenikwa, Gonville Larocque, Delorme P. Chartrand sont mes noms de famille. Hi, my name is Trish Kelly, and I am a Michif woman. My family comes from Prince Albert and the Carleton area, but I live in Squamish now. And my family names are Gonville, Larocque, Delorme, and Chartrand. I was inspired to start to learn and build a relationship to the Michif language during COVID. I started out by somehow, I think through Facebook, hearing that there was an online class that was being offered by an organization in Alberta. And I spoke with my aunt, Marion, and asked her if she would take the class with me. So it was a way that, being a little bit isolated in Squamish, away from my family, that I could still have an opportunity to spend time with my aunt and get more connected with the Michif language. So we signed up together for a Southern Michif beginner class, and I had the chance to take that class and then repeat it in the following semester as an observer, just to get more practice, which is how I learned some real basics, like how to introduce myself at community gatherings. From there, I have downloaded apps. I brought a couple props with me today, a few things that I have found along the way, including a set of cue cards called Michif 101 from the Gabriel Dumont Institute. And the other tip that I got was around looking at children's books. So I have a copy of a children's book that's in English and in Michif. And the advice that I got was to think of oneself as a child. That's the natural way that people acquire languages. And even though I'm an adult, to give myself the space to start from scratch, start with the kid stuff and build from there. I think my biggest challenge in learning Michif is that I live in a household where no one else is learning it. I'm married and my husband is not Métis and is not as interested in languages as I am. So one of the practices that I've developed as a workaround is I try to talk to my dogs in Michif. So when I wake up in the morning, I'll come downstairs and say, Tanshe Kia Wow. And I have a one-sided conversation with my dogs, but it gives me the practice of some of the basics in Michif. But I think that that is my biggest challenge, is that I'm looking for ways to practice that are very outside of what we know is the best way to learn language, which is to be completely immersed and start as a baby and just pick it up by context. But because I'm learning so late in life, I'm really leaning on technology and anything that I can bring into my home that can help me, and I have to have a lot of discipline to try to make improvements. If I was giving advice to someone that is deciding to learn Michif, I would say, first of all, reach out to me, find me on Facebook. I need people to practice with. And then I would share some advice that I received in my journey as I developed this relationship to Michif, which is to be gentle with yourself and your expectations, because the reasons that we were raised without access to our language are not easy, and there's a lot of pain behind them. And so there's healing that comes with learning the language, but it's also about confronting the pain. So be gentle with yourself. It's important to me, and I think an honoring for my family and my community, that I am trying to learn Michif. People are every year picking up Michif and other Indigenous languages and putting their hearts into new resources to help us keep those languages alive and growing. And so for me, it's one of my opportunities to also resist those harmful parts of Canadian history and to do my bit to keep the language and the culture alive. I think I have a pretty good story from my family about what has become my favorite phrase in Michif. It's Estom Nitsimus Ute Ute. It's the only phrase that my mother knew of Michif, and she passed it on to me with a story that her grandmother, who we called Chicken Granny, would say that to her, and she would say, Estom Nitsimus Ute Ute. And I don't think my mom ever understood exactly what it meant, but as a child, she got the context that she was supposed to hurry up. And I'm quite sure that she didn't understand what Nitsimus meant, because she would sometimes use it as a joke with me, as if it was an insult. And in my Michif language class, I learned about the online Michif app, and I was able to research all of the words. And I found out that it means, "Come here, sweetheart, hurry, hurry." And it was this message that came to me. I never met my great-grandmother because she died before I was born. I never met my grandfather because he died that same year, and my mom's gone. But this is a message that I got through 3 generations of my family. And my mom didn't know that her nickname from her grandmother was Sweetheart. Everybody in her family, all the kids had nicknames, and my mom didn't know what hers meant. But it was a term of absolute love. And even though I never had that person in my life, and my mother didn't have the language, she was able to share that with me, and I get it kind of telegraphed to me 3 generations later. So that is absolutely my favorite expression in Michif, and I will hold that very dear and hope to pass it on to others.